This is your pride. Pick a group. We have three groups, one, two, or three. The collective offering or message that is coming up, the cards that came out, and I'm using the Black Queer Tarot by Kendrick Day. It's the Eight of Swords, the Eight of Cups, the Four of Cups, the Empress. We also have archetype deck or a deck that has some key phrases or words. It's integration, lightness, spontaneity, motivation, revelation, strength, enjoyment, and trust. Okay, the strength card is given the India Ari, strength, courage, and wisdom. It's been inside of me all along. If you've had any kind of apathy or kind of just been moping around or feeling very low, it feels like doing some random shit might actually turn out to be delightful. It feels like there's a cultivation of self trust that requires you to leave behind the false notion of responsibility, the false sense of self, the false narratives that may have had you feeling like you had to stay one way, you had to be one way. The Empress here is the great mother and all their glory, affirming you in all your glory, an affirmation of who you be despite some of the insecurities, despite the aspects of yourself that you might refuse to see because of some of the ways that survival wounds are making it difficult for you to embrace certain aspects of yourself and certain aspects of your life. I'm wondering if some of you have already been engaging meditations or contemplative practices around water and or the spirit of air, the spirit of wind. Some of you have maybe felt like you were too tired to care for yourself. Some of you may have been a little bit too much in your, some of you been intellectualizing your processes. Some of you have been compartmentalizing to your own detriment. And so the drop back into your body is going to require courage. You will have to motivate yourself. The versions of you that you had to that you had the courage to walk away from, those versions of you was fake as fuck and you know it. Because those versions were created in somebody else's imagination. And those impossible expectations, those impossible standards, the unconsensual agreements, you were right to walk away. And as you spin the block and come back to you, and you integrate what's true and what feels right for you now, this lightness, the revelation, the enjoyment, that is what is materialized. And so the ancestors are encouraging us to prepare our chalices. Get your cups ready. Lay down your swords. Mind your tongue and the things that you say about yourself, even those quiet conversations, the internal dialogue. Don't be talking shit about yourself under your breath, right? Sometimes we internalize criticism, and the criticism that you're operating under is something that your third grade teacher said about you. Why is that echoing 20 years later? Sometimes those embedded theologies, the beliefs that we were taught specific to the divine, right? And let me, I was finna go on a tangent there, but I want to encourage you to center your divinity in this month. I want to encourage you to center the theologies that you are learning based off of your embodied power, based off of your self discovery, based off of your work with the elements, based off of your work with the land, based off of the things that you have been learning. You are right to center your own theologies and beliefs about the divine, particularly the beliefs that you have about yourself. And for some of you, yes, there may be some interrogation that is needed, right? But we ain't in the courthouse. So don't continue to put yourself on trial for some shit that wasn't your fault. for some things that are antithetical to your freedom and liberation. Believe the witness that is you and allow them to walk freely within you. Yes, there are very real violences and systemic challenges and barriers to people being able to show up as they are and to be their whole selves. But there should be some spaciousness within you for us to be able to roam and be as we be. There should be some spaciousness for your spirit to move in you as your spirit needs to move in you. And for some of you, I want you to consider what you need to do in order for your spirit to move. And some of you need to do the thing until your spirit moves. Sometimes I will tell folks, sometimes you need to go on a walking meditation and walk and talk and pray until you feel your spirit move. For some of you, you might need to shake your ass until your spirit move. For some of you, you might have to moan and groan until your spirit moves. For some of you, you might have to clap and shout until your spirit moves. Either way, your spirit gonna move. And may your spirit move and guide you to where it is that you want to be, where it is that you desire to be. But the Empress here is reminding us, right, that the ancestors do have pride in us. The ancestors do experience joy through us. The ancestors do keep us in our coming and in our going. They also want to remind us, yeah, that it's okay to be retrospective. It is okay to be retrospective. But I just actually picked up this Four of Cups and there's a snake on the card wrapped around the cup. And so be mindful of any snakes handing out cups in this season trying to get you to buy into what it is that they're selling, what it is that they're offering, what it is that they may be giving up. Because you know the temptation or the allure of something that could be conditional or momentarily satisfying when we have been thirsty, when we have felt dehydrated, when we have felt undernourished, undersupported. And this isn't to say that you need to be hypercritical or hyper aware, but this is to say be mindful of outsourcing when you got the resource within you already that you need. Be mindful of sharing your glory and goodness with people who are bored with themselves and so they seeking people to entertain. We don't necessarily need entertainment in this season in the ways that we may have needed it in the past. Yeah, so this is a gentle reminder to protect your mental in that regard. Okay? So now the groups. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3. Oh, before I get into that, so they're also reminding me that some of us may be experiencing some depression symptoms and some emotional fatigue. And they also want to encourage you to stop talking yourself out of best case scenarios and to intervene pessimism as it comes up. And stop withholding care and nourishment from yourself because you feel like you didn't earn it. This may not always be something that is conscious. Now to the groups. So, group 1, we have the Six of Swords, the Judgment card, the Wheel of Fortune, and the King of Sticks. We got James Baldwin here. Okay. And for this card, for this group, we also have world peace, tenderness, balance, perseverance, and daring. And what's world peace in a world that operates on anti-blackness? You got to find your peace anyways. So this very much feels like a time don't heal all wounds, but eventually we find our way. Eventually we move forward. Eventually we do what we got to do. Some of you, the tool and the resource or source of power might come through the element of fire. Some of y'all got some heat coming from your pens, right? Like, so perhaps there may be some transmutation through writing, transmutation through poetry, transmutation through spoken word. Maybe you got to have a rap battle with your inner children, or yeah, I don't know. This is it's giving slam poetry for some reason. This is for a special. This is for a very specific group of y'all. But also, I get the sense as though, so for some of this group, you might also need to listen to some Rico Nasty, because there feels like there's some rage associated with your experience. And so sometimes rage and anger is symptomatic of grief. And sometimes we have grief associated with who we had to be in order to survive. Sometimes the grief is associated with the ways that we felt very tender. There's a kind of tenderness here, and there's a grief associated with the tenderness because of the things that led to that tenderness. But some of you are having some courage. Some of you are being brave. Some of you are learning what it means to understand it better by and by. Some of you have already made it over and through, and you're resting on the other side of a journey that may have been tiresome and that could have been exhausting. There also feels like there is some things that are turning in your favor with this Wheel of Fortune here. And so I want to also encourage you to pace yourself. Be mindful of feeling like everything's got to be urgent. Be mindful of feeling like you got to be the one to walk some shit down. Sometimes your ancestors is the one to walk the thing down for you. And that don't always looking like walking down an op. Sometimes that might mean they're going to get the resource and bring it back to you. For some of you, some of y'all, there's something significant around photography, pictures, and the arts in that regard, and having a healthy avenue to share what is on your heart. For others of you, just generally speaking, with the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Swords, there's a shift in terms of a life cycle. There's a shift in terms of perhaps even a spiritual practice. There's a shift even specific to how you prepare. Is there some like for your consider your morning routines, like how you get ready for the day? And also for some of you, be reminded that you might need to be taking midday breaks. You might need to be taking more breaks. Yeah, you might need to be having more self check ins throughout the day. Somebody has been really honest with themselves and honest with their ancestors. And if you've been withholding the truth about how you feel in terms of your ancestral engagements, they don't want you pump faking at the altar or in your prayers. They want you to call a thing and be honest with them, be real with them about what's on your heart and what's coming up for you. The ancestors are affirming also your willingness to wait. Some of you felt like, oh, I'm getting passed by for this thing that I wanted over here. Or, oh, I'm being overlooked. Or like, I'm saying I'm not being recognized. But the ancestors are actually affirming your patience. And yeah, it might feel like you being tested a little bit, but this is not an intentional test. Like the things that have contributed to delays, those are real things. That's not a point of like, oh, like God is testing me, ancestors are testing me, spirit is testing me. No, it's a very real implications for why the delays happen. And if you gotta tell yourself, rejection is protection or the delays are divine, whatever. But like the reality is it's beyond just what your spirits can do right now. There feels like there's some kind of systemic obstruction that has prevented or kept somebody from getting what they need. And I just want to acknowledge and name that. And I also want you to know that this is not your fault. It's not that your workings aren't working, that your ancestors are not doing what they need to do. But the reality is some shit has taken time. But we're gonna touch and agree in this moment, okay? That now that the time has shifted and the tides have turned and the wheels have changed, that great spirit, the ancestors will make haste. Okay? And it's okay for you to need some extra nourishment and care for your inner children. For some of you too, whether this is I'm hearing baby, this could be you, right? Needing to tend to your inner children, but this also could be some of y'all could also be parents or care workers. And some of you, the ancestors are really also wanting to affirm The generational shifts and changes that you facilitated as a result of you choosing how you parent, whether this is parenting yourself or parenting your children. This is also there's also affirmation here if you are somebody that has been like mentoring other people in terms of the generational shifts that are also being facilitated within that regard. Perseverance, balance, daring, tenderness, world peace. Okay, so what you got to do to cultivate peace in your world? What is needed to cultivate balance in your world? What sensual or creative care is needed in order to help balance out some of that tension and that stress and that tug that you've been experiencing? And sometimes you don't need to persevere. Like, I want to tell somebody, like, sometimes it's okay to say fuck it and keep it pushing. All right. For some of you, there may be some implications from walking away from some vices or putting down some vices or really considering some of the coping mechanisms and modalities or strategies that you were engaging previously. And so, if there are things that are coming up as a result of putting the vices down, you have the capacity to be able to tend to those things, and it's okay for you to call upon the supports needed in terms of learning new coping strategies and ways of processing. Group two, so you got the Five of Swords, the Prince of Sticks, the Ace of Coins, the Three of Cups. You also have unity, partnership, magnificence, results, dependability, sensuality, and delight. There's a common song. There are times when you need someone, I will be by your side. There's a light that shines, special for you and me. So, because the Five of Swords is here, I'm wondering if some of us have experienced some tension or conflict. This could be internally or externally, specific to our friendships, our platonic relationships, our relationship connections, but this could also be specific to work and specific to some opportunities that have come our way. Some of you have been sitting too long in contemplation and you are having to be decisive in terms of making a decision, but you may feel a little bit conflicted about that decision. So I want to ask you, what are you fighting for? Who are you fighting? What happens when you feel insecure? What happens when you feel defensive? What patterns of thought and emotional narratives pop up for you when you experience conflict? How do you navigate conflict with yourself? When and where did you learn to expect punishment? When you need a break, when you need to pause, when you need some time to process. So there's also the cultivation of interdependence coming up here. I feel that some of you have proven results, and so you don't have to prove your dependability. You don't have to prove whether or not you're a good partner. You don't have to prove whether or not somebody can count on you. You don't have to prove whether or not you're good at the work that you do. Some of us may need to intervene the parts of us that feel that we have to be constantly producing results, that we have to constantly be creating. This sensuality and this delight, I want to tell some of y'all, frolic. Go stand in the sun and giggle and smile. Go lay in the grass. Go skip. When's the last time you skipped somewhere? When's the last time you played some hand games? Video games. When's the last time you doodled? When's the last time you colored in a coloring book? When's the last time you freestyled? For me, actually, I freestyled 2 days ago. I'm the type of person I'll be freestyling in my prayers. But I ain't choose this group. I'm offering, the support and the guidance. When's the last time you did something just to do it? And not because of the product or the results, but because it's something that you wanted to do. I'm also getting the sense as though for some of you, whether this is recent or something that might happen in the future, you might need to spend some time with your people, whether this is chosen family, community, loved ones, and or if you've been in isolation, you might have the courage to go somewhere so that if you've been in a funk, you can get out of that funk. So that if you've been feeling low, you know what I'm saying, you can come out of the dumps. All right. Energetically, that is speaking. And that's not somebody be like, no, I'm not calling you low vibrational. Okay. It ain't even that type of party. But I am saying you do need people. But more importantly, some people need you. Some people need you. Okay. For some of you, I'm also getting there feels like there also could be some kind of brand partnerships. Okay. For some of you, this could be some grant money. For some of you, if you need supplemental resources, I want to encourage you to apply for those things. But for some of you, the next time you walk by a mirror or the next time you see your reflection, I want you to affirm and acknowledge your magnificence. I want you to affirm the fact that the divine delights in you. I want you to affirm the fact that the ancestors smile upon you in awe. I want you to remind yourself that no matter how you feel, no matter how you're perceiving a situation or a thing, you're a real person who deserves the space to feel and to perceive. And that it's okay for those things to occur on a spectrum. All right? Stop being so strict. Group 3, you got the Hermit, the King of Swords, the Ten of Coins, and the Queen of Coins. I feel like some of you might have snitched on somebody to like your grandmama or like one of your ancestral fathers that don't play about you. But also, you have power, emergence, optimism, willingness, efficiency, integrity, solutions, and patience. So I'm recognizing patience has been a running theme here. But this very much feels like you made your way to the mountaintop. You got what you needed from the mountaintop, and you made your way back down. But you also know that you don't have to wade valleys too long. For you, you're having to stand in your mental authority. For you, you're also having to allow thoughts to be thoughts. Maybe you've been engaged in some mindfulness where you allow your thoughts to pass, right? Like clouds, or where you remind yourself that because you have a thought, that thought doesn't have to lead to an emotional spiral. Like, some of us have been really working to intervene some of the things that contribute to emotional spiraling. And this could also have led to an increase of a sense in terms of your stability within yourself. This Ten of Coins card feels very much like some of you are emerging. There's a part of you that is emerging. And you might not know what's on the other side, but what you do need to be reminded of and what you do need to know is that you've already been crowned. What you do need to know and what you do need to be reminded of is that you do have power. There are solutions available. You've already showed yourself and proven yourself to be efficient. Your integrity is not in question. Some of you may also be having to intervene pessimism because we got optimism here. So I wonder in what ways have some of the care workers within your lineage or your community inspired you to show up as your whole brave self. I wonder, what have you learned about yourself, about your lineage, about your gifts, in your recent moments of retreat, during your recent moments of self study, during your recent moments of intellectual stimulation? Some of you, I feel that for some of you, y'all might actually have to slow down, because for some of y'all, I feel like you're like, oh, I got to learn all the things I got to do. I got to learn all the things. I got to take all the classes. I'm behind on this work in this way. And actually, you're not behind. But if you need accommodations because you are taking classes or because you are doing some kind of work, I want to encourage you to ask for accommodations. But also, for some of you, your community is also a form of currency and a form of wealth. The Queen of Coins with the Ten of Coins is very much, your ancestral mothers might be sliding you some money. They might be sliding you some resources. If you've been too scared to ask, you've been feeling like you're a burden, you've been feeling like you've been asking too much, you can never ask for too much. And for some of you, you may have actually been inspired or encouraged to ask for more. And so I think you're also maybe sharing some of your power and some of what it is that you've learned with your community, with your loved ones, with your kinfolk. For some of you, you have finally cleared some of those blocks within your core, some of the stagnant energy that you had around your center. And that may have come from some decisive actions. Some of you may also be spending some time with some literary ancestors, or some of the ancestors specific to your creative lineage, right? Like if you're in the arts, yeah, there may be a transferable skill set that you have with your blood ancestors, but there may also be some communal ancestors that are showing up for you during this time. And you're right to honor and acknowledge them, and however you've been honoring and acknowledging them. And this also feels like there may be some victories that are won at the hands of your spiritual court. I hope this was supportive. Take what resonates, consider the resonance, consider the context. If you need more tailored or personalized support, I think I have 2 ancestral care sessions available and a few divination spots available for this month. Feel empowered to share feedback. Let me know the resonance. And I might keep posting or sharing these. Take good intentional care.